Hello, my name is Jordan Pym, and today we will be discussing cybersecurity, a growing concern, why you should care, and what you can do about it. Cyberspace, an ambiguous term that has been and continues to be thrown around since the premiere of the Jetsons. Initially, such a term was an abstract idea with little relevance. Ideas of facial recognition, telecommunications, artificial intelligence, and robot butlers were simply imaginative fiction. Today, though, we've seen these ideas come to fruition. Cyberspace, while still ambiguous, is indeed a realm of its own, a realm in which society holds a place in. Recently, events that have occurred within the realm raise questions into what is really going on within cyberspace, with media spotlights on privacy of cyber platforms like Facebook, Google, and so forth. Users are beginning to inquire more into their stakes within the cyber world. An increasing amount of our lives are being lived through cyber means, and while it has brought plenty of benefits, the territory does not come without its risks. Now more than ever, there are reasons to investigate our safety and the privacy of our information stored and shared throughout cyberspace. If the US government cares about cybersecurity, you should too. While the term cyber seems to be a relatively new phenomenon, it received its origins in the late 1940s, by which a group of specialists pulling from the fields biology, engineering, and social sciences created the field of cybernetics. The cutting edge field aimed to demonstrate a focus on the study of communication and control systems between machines and human beings. As the development of computers and technology increased, so did the field of cybernetics. While the development of the first computer was completed in 1946, it wasn't until 1975 that the first desktop computer, the Altair 8800, was built by Ed Roberts. 16 years later, 1991, the world saw the introduction of the World Wide Web. Since the introduction of the modern internet, dependency upon such technologies has exponentially increased. Today, the total amount of internet users worldwide accounts for just over 4 billion users. That's approximately half the global population. With the addition of smartphone, smart home, and cloud technology, citizens of developed and even developing countries are exploiting the capabilities of these technologies by which they manage their social lives, home lives, and even financial lives via the cyber community. Further than individual lives, companies and governments rely on cybernetic functions to manage everything from transactions to hydroelectricity. Least to say, the development of cybernetics has brought an abundance of rewards to society, but one cannot neglect the fact that great reward comes with great risk. As the dependence on cybernetics continued to improve significantly after the introduction of more accessible technology, more valuable information was placed into cyberspace. Much of the 1970s and 1980s was spent free of cybersecurity threats, but 1989 saw the creation of the first computer worm by Robert Morris. The virus was self-propagating and spread so aggressively that it brought the internet to a halt. Imagine the impact that would have today. It would almost be a global crisis. The early 1990s, cybercrime introduced the first official viruses known as the Melissas and I Love You. These viruses infected upwards of 10 million PCs, causing failure of worldwide email systems. Neither of these viruses demonstrated a clear strategic motive, but it heightened the realization that the spread of viruses from corporate or government accounts could have detrimental consequences. To counter future attacks, developers invented the first antivirus technology able to identify the signature of a virus and prevent it from replicating. Eventually, the use of cyber infiltration increased in sophistication. Cybercriminals moved beyond exploiting a broad pool of emails and began targeting valuable data. The first serial data breach of a credit card occurred in the late 2000s. Information of at least 45.7 million cards of the retailer TJX customers was breached in a major cybersecurity breach, costing the company a total of $256 million. The magnitude of this attack exposed the dangerous reality of cyber activity. The need for protection through the means of sophisticated security systems enabled to cope with these dangers became blatantly apparent. But cybercriminals seem to have demonstrated capabilities to stay ahead of cybersecurity when the Target breach involving the theft of 40 million debit cards and credit cards took place. Learning from the TJX breach, the involved criminals understood that an indirect route to the data would be needed. The hackers were able to attain credit card numbers at the exact moment the data was present in the system and not encrypted by infiltrating a system of a heating and ventilation supplier that Target used. And when we say encrypted, we simply mean before data was concealed by converting it into a code. Moving forward, as society integrated by the cyber community, the history of these events that has caused an increased need for cybersecurity can only demonstrate the value of such security moving forward. It may seem that cybercrime is so sophisticated that such crimes are impossible to prevent. Regardless of whether such a statement is true, the best way to limit these crimes is to equip and educate oneself or business on the topic. For those who are not highly educated on the art of cybernetics, cybersecurity threats can seem obscure and frankly overwhelming. When discussing worms and melissas, how does one not simply imagine an insect crawling across a device's screen stealing valuable information? We know that this isn't necessarily how it works, but without needing a degree in computer science, there are some simple threats the everyday user can come to understand. The following is a list and basic descriptions of the most popular threats to cybersecurity for both businesses and everyday users. Now, to begin, we're going to discuss ransomware. Ransomware is a software designed to block users' access to certain files or computer systems until a stated ransom is paid. Unfortunately, in many circumstances, paying the ransom does not guarantee system restoration. In 2017, ransomware damages cost exceeded $5 billion, a massive increase from 2015, in which damages cost $325 million. By 2019, it's expected that ransomware costs will reach $11.5 billion, and businesses will be victimized every 14 seconds. Secondly, we're going to talk about malware. Now, malware is a malicious software able to gain unauthorized access to the computer. Often, malware can achieve irreversible damage to devices and systems. Malware is tricky because it can travel through links and emails, but it can also travel through USB and cords that may be plugged into our devices. Thirdly, we're going to talk about social engineering. Now, social engineering is a tactic that convinces users into revealing valuable and sensitive information. Social engineering can often lead to soliciting financial payments and foregoing confidential data. In addition, social engineering may entice those susceptible to click links that open gateways for other malware and viruses to attack the system. Similar to social engineering, phishing entails the receiving of fraudulent emails that resemble mail that may be sent from reputable sources. Phishing aims to obtain sensitive data like login info. It's the most common type of cyber attack. Now, an example of phishing could be, let's say, an email stating it's from the IRS, stating that you can claim a tax return if you follow this certain link. Let's say users click on this link, they'll be tricked into downloading malicious malware and not getting that tax return that everyone so badly wants. Now, why should you care about these threats? While everyone wishes to assume there's no potential of a cyber attack happening to them or their business, reality contradicts this wish. Due to the fact that there is currently a greater amount of technological devices than human beings, and hackers along with developers are becoming more innovative, it's extremely challenging to manage effective cybersecurity. Thus, it's imperative to understand the damage cybersecurity can have. We're going to go and list off a few facts about modern-day cyber threats. In 2015, cybercrime cost the world a total of $3 trillion, and by 2021, it's projected that damages caused by cybercrime will account for $6 trillion annually. In 2017, the security industry spent more than $86.4 billion in cybersecurity. Within the next 5 years, spending on cybersecurity services and products are predicted to surpass $1 trillion. Now, these numbers simply correlate to the prediction that by 2022, 6 billion members of the population, approximately 75%, will be internet users. By 2030, this number should skyrocket to approximately 7.5 billion users. As a result of these projected increases within the cyber community, the need for greater investment in cybersecurity is dire, especially considering the fact that the cybersecurity workforce unemployment rate has dropped to 0%. The industry is facing a workforce shortage, and as risks increase because of increased usage and increased dependency and more information going into systems, the value of quality protection also increases. Now, Warren Buffett has been quoted to say, "I don't know that much about cyber, but I do think it's the number one problem within mankind. And if he thinks we need to invest in it, we probably need to invest in it." Now, what can we do to protect ourselves and our businesses from cyber threats? Luckily, there are many ways to protect our businesses and ourselves. Like a human body, computer systems require an immune system in order to fend off viruses. Antivirus, anti-spyware, and anti-spam software can be found free or for a little charge for most personal computers, and can often be put into workplaces as well. The second critical aspect of computer security is the installation of firewalls. Firewalls are responsible for managing connections between the internet and local networks. This form of software limits access through open ports that Trojans and other viruses can use as an access point to information. A crucial aspect of maintaining a safe and secure cyber system is to regularly patch and update software systems. Updates are usually released to fix existing susceptibility and counter bugs and improve software functions. When a notification update arises, ensure to acknowledge it and take advantage of bettering your system. As easy it is to put off that update and ignore it, it's very important that you don't do for so long. These updates are usually put in place for a reason. It's also important to educate yourself on the default settings of your device's system. In certain cases, a system's default may not provide the best protection. For instance, ensure that auto-run settings on your device is disabled. Inserting disks or USB into a device with certain software can lead to screen pop-ups promoting the installation of security threats like malware. When using a device beyond one's trusted network, ensure that the network is secure. In certain cases, this may mean avoiding public Wi-Fis at our favorite Starbucks or McDonald's. While these networks are convenient, they tend to lack quality security. Thus, users are at the discretion of weak browsing policies. Since we're on the topic of choosing networks, it's best to work and browse on a VPN. And VPN simply stands for Virtual Private Network. A VPN ensures that all the traffic between your device and the network is connected, is connected and encrypted. If your network is not set up to a VPN, it can easily be installed by those with an understanding of the computers, or can be installed online with a VPN service for just under $5. Now, as we've been saying throughout the presentation, our devices contain some of the most valuable aspects of our lives, from photos of family vacations to sensitive financial information or work information. The best way to secure your most valuable data is through encryption. Encryption, as stated earlier, places unbreakable algorithms around one's data, assuring that unauthorized access to this data is prohibited. Multiple ways to encrypt your data can easily be found through a basic Google search. Unfortunately, while breaches of cybersecurity are preventable, nothing can fully guarantee the potential of losing data to cybercrime. One of the best ways to limit the potential of losing data is to regularly duplicate or perform backups. In the case that an entire network is compromised, it's best to keep backups off-site. Backups specifically are beneficial in the case of ransomware attacks. If the data being held for ransom is already replicated on another secure network, the ransom really has no pull. Certain firms offering cybersecurity services will offer information backups. In such cases, the company receiving the service will have their information stored within an internal system, but also have the same information stored and backed up externally. Despite the strength of installed and downloaded security softwares, the best way to prevent cyber attacks is by increasing awareness and education. Regardless of what one industry is in, and whether the device or network belongs within work, or the place within the workplace or at home, members of the cyber community must be savvy yet cautious. So much is invested within the community, why not invest in its security? While these downloaded software such as firewalls and antivirus systems do a lot, they can only do so much. A lot of our protection has to do with ourselves. We cannot assume that we won't get attacked because it can happen to everyone, and everyone is an attractive target. So beyond these software installments, there are some really basic tools that we need to remember when dealing with our cyber lives. For instance, treat your passwords for what they are, a wall between valuable information and those wanting access to such information. Invest in strong passwords with a mix of characters, and don't use the same password for multiple accounts. As easy as it is, avoid it, especially if we're sharing passwords for accounts between social media and bank accounts. You wouldn't leave something of value unattended. So, therefore, you should not leave your devices unattended. If you leave your device, lock the device or any other accessories that contain data, like a flash drive or an external hard drive. Practice caution when links and attachments are received via email. When surfing the web, double-check the URL, websites, and spelling mistakes in direct searches, as criminal actors can often take advantage of such mistakes, leading users to harmful domains. Regularly back up and ensure antivirus software is up to date, as we stated prior, and don't forget that malware can travel through harmed external hard drives, flash drives, and even cellular devices. Be cautious when plugging anything into your computer. Now pay attention to your activity on social networks as well, including your own activity, not just your friend's activity or suspicious friend requests. Cybercriminals are keen to easily befriend people online and look to gain information that can lead to the access of valuable information. Understand that cyber attacks are not isolated to devices, and remain aware of social engineering through attempts of others to gain information by the means of manipulation. Anytime someone asks for valuable information over the phone or even in person, you are not obligated to say yes. Finally, trust your gut. If cyber activity seems suspicious at any point, it likely is. In such cases, it's best to end your use and contact your trusted cybersecurity provider. Finally, I'm going to leave you with a quote from Mr. Robot by Elliot Alderson. People always make the best exploits. I've never found it hard to hack most people. If you listen to them, watch them, their vulnerabilities are like a neon sign screwed into your heads. Thank you.